What's up, everybody? Let's get into this season 10, episode 1, Teen Mom 2 review. I can't believe we on season 10. I saw the trailer. It didn't look too interesting. However, I'm still going to review the episodes because maybe somebody will look at it. I don't know. So the episode starts out with Leah sitting down with her friends after the reunion from season 9 of last year, after Jeremy made comments about Corey not being at one of the twins' hospital appointments. The friends are talking about it, and they said that basically Corey is out of line for not going, and Leah says that she's nervous and scared because she didn't want Jeremy to bring that up. It's way too personal. If you guys didn't know, these girls share what they want to share with the world, and sometimes the bad just does not make it to the television screen. However, Corey and Jeremy have always had a little rift, so he decided to just get on national TV and say what he feels, and he feels like Corey should take the time out to go to his daughter's hospital visits. One of the friends said it's only 2 times a year he can manage to get off. Jeremy says Corey works from home. Leah says Jeremy has a 9 to 5. I don't know. The friends are chiming in. Her sister's chiming in. Everybody has an opinion. Hopefully we get to see Corey's opinion later on in the season. Next, we flip over to Brianna, who is once again claiming about Devon not doing some shit. I don't know, the typical. She shows up to her best friend Shirley's house. They sit down on the couch and they start talking about her other baby daddy, Lewis, and how he ain't shit either. So Brianna pulls out her phone and goes on Instagram and says, look, Lewis is DJing at this club. I think that we should pull up and we should go, and I can confront him about the fact that I know that he's in town, but he has not seen Stella yet. So this whole episode right here is about Lewis. So I don't know. MTV must have got them a car. They were in the backseat like they were in a limo or something. They head to the club. I don't know where the kids are at this point because they showed up there with kids and then they leave in the car. I don't know. I guess it's not important. This is just Teen Mom. So they get to the club. They're throwing back the liquor. They're twerking. They're having a good time. Brianna is coming out of her eco shell. You know what I'm saying? And she confronts Lewis outside. So she goes to confront Lewis outside, and me and my Instagram friends had a whole laugh about this week. She confronts him and she's like, why you not there for Stella, and are you gonna be there? And I know. And he's like, look, I ain't got no money. Look, I didn't want to come around because I ain't got no job. Same old thing that he's been preaching, and she is giving him so many accolades, and she is looking like she is so hurt in the face, and she's like, you don't have to provide, you don't have to have no money, just come around. Now let this be divine now. And it would have been a whole nother story. But we're talking about Lewis. And I guess she just thought that he was so cute standing there saying that he's broke as hell and he didn't pay her back her $1,500 from last year. So this is going on in my head. I'm just like, okay, so is this going to be the night where Brianna risks it all? Okay, well, let's keep watching. Okay, so Jade's segment starts off with the reunion from last year and how upset her mother was storming off stage. So her mother initially calmed down. They sat down for a nice lunch. And then Sean's like, are you okay? To Jade's mother. And Jade's mother's just like, listen, I don't like the way that Jade be disrespecting me on camera. I feel like she be putting on for camera. Jade gets upset, says if you don't want to film, you ain't got to film. Jade's mother stands up. She made sure she carried the food out because it was lunchtime and she wasn't going to miss that meal. But she stood up and she was like, I'm leaving. Don't disrespect me. These damn cameras and blah, blah, blah. So Jade is going off and the mom is going off, and Jay's like, don't talk to me like I'm some bitch off the street. I'm your daughter. They're just going back and forth. I feel like Jade was wrong, and I feel like both of them need to take a chill pill. They're both very immature when they are conversing with each other. And it's just like, use your words. You ain't always got to yell and scream. But as soon as Jade mama get loud, Jade get loud. So they're just two in the same, basically. So Jade dramatically rips her mic off and says that she doesn't want to film anymore. And that's her scene on that. Switching over to the keto queen herself, we switch over to Chelsea Double, which goes to check on her brilliant, amazing, expensive clothing line, flannels. And we see that she says that her clothing line is doing well. Then she gets a call from the police department saying that they might have some of her items from her burglary last year. If you guys remember, her house was broken into. That's when she developed anxiety and all this, that, and the third. So she heads back home to talk to her fabulous, amazing stud of a husband about it. And they both say that they're nervous about what they're going to find, but hopefully they can retrieve some of their items. Her kids are looking nice and healthy. Watson is just so cute, okay? And listen, Chelsea actually has a storyline this year. That break-in that happened last year really set her up for a pretty interesting storyline. And I feel like when Chelsea starts to have a storyline, child, that's when we know the season is pretty much trash. Anyway, so then we head over to Kailyn, who says that she only moved to Middleton to be closer to Chris, and he still ain't doing the shit that he supposed to do. In fact, they actually fell out around this time, October last year again. So she's sitting on the couch talking about it with the producer Patrick, who be stalking all of our Instagrams, getting this information and being messy and going back to Kailyn all the time saying, did you see that Lauren and Javi? Did you see that Chris is on live? Did you see? So he's sitting down with her and she's saying that Chris is trolling the internet, saying that he actually got another girl pregnant, and no, he didn't have another girl pregnant. He's actually been trolling the whole Instagram for months, and actually this is a storyline. So Chris just gave her a storyline because he's been trolling the internet for months. But no, Patrick is just as messy as these clickbait articles. He just wants Kailyn to be in a frenzy of some sort. So they're going back and forth about whether Chris has another girl pregnant, but in fact, it was just a whole bunch of trolling on Instagram. So nothing to see here. So then we check back in with Leah, who's having a conversation with her producer about Jeremy saying too much about Corey and his job and not showing up to his kids' appointments at the reunion. And it flashes to Corey. So I guess Corey decided to film this season, and I had no idea that he would or he wouldn't, but I guess he wants to take up for himself. So he's sitting down with a bunch of his friends and they're talking about it, and he's like, yeah, I blew up on Twitter, which he did. He had a whole list of things to get off his chest when the reunion aired, and he said that he felt so bad that he was not there to defend himself and Miranda because Leah and Jeremy basically made him look like a deadbeat dad for missing doctor's appointments for his child who has muscular dystrophy. Like, they kind of did. He's talking with his friends and he's like, I didn't even know that Jeremy knew my work schedule and shit. Like, you son bitch. Like, he really called him a son bitch. He's like, you son bitch, you don't worry about my work schedule. You don't worry about what I got going on. I thought we were all fine. So it seems as if everything has been set back to zero with this family. I learned something interesting about West Virginia and the coal mines and stuff like that, and why everybody basically has the same job in West Virginia. Ooh, their history is something else. But, that's another video for another time or another channel. I don't know. So going back over to Jade, she said that her and her mother made up because her mom said sorry. So I guess that's the end of that. They both have the same job, the same gig at the grandmother's restaurant. So it's not like they can't see each other and communicate. It's just going to look bad on TV and in front of customers for a family to be beefing so publicly. So anyway, she's getting ready for her daughter's birthday. And she's wondering if Sean is going to come to the birthday party because they had a falling out too. Everybody just falling out and fighting all the time. So they ain't been getting along. He's been staying with somebody else. And she's wondering if he's going to be there for Chloe's party. So he sends her a text on the way to the venue, which is the grandma's business. And he basically says, tell my daughter happy birthday, which means that he ain't going. And she's upset about that, saying, how the hell can you not even come to your own daughter's birthday party? Whatever beef they have, like, come on now. Even Chris Lopez showed up to his son's birthday party. He said he was gonna spit on everybody, but he was there and he ain't never there. So I feel like, Sean, you could have came to the damn party, but we'll see what happens. So Kailyn is rounding up her chaos. She stops to pick up Lincoln, then she stops to pick up Isaac. We don't see anybody who dropped them off at all. We just see a white van driving off. I have no idea what the pickup situation is, but I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that Javi has agreed not to film anymore, and Joe probably hasn't agreed to film either because all they did was show a picture of him. So nobody wants to film. Anyway, pretty boring. Lincoln tells Kailyn that he went to church and that he didn't like it. And Kailyn said, well, do you believe in God? And he says, I believe in all of them, God, Jesus, and Buddha. I just didn't like church. A lot of little kids just are not into church because their attention span is like, I want to go outside, I want to play, I want to run, I want to jump. I don't want to sit down and listen to somebody talk me for 2 hours. So I can understand. But Kailyn's an atheist, and I appreciate her not pushing her belief that there is no God onto her kids. Whatever your belief is, I feel like everybody is an individual, and you have to make the decision on your own. So kudos to Kailyn for not pushing it down her kids' throat that there is no God. Because the other families believe in God. Kailyn's the only atheist. So they get back home and Kailyn reveals to her BFF Natalie that a strange number texted her and said that Lux had a baby brother or sister on the way, and to get ready because the baby is coming in February. So Kailyn's panicking and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe he really got somebody else pregnant. So she says that she screenshotted it and she sent it to him, and I guess he didn't text back fast enough. So then she ends up calling him and she's like, is there any truth to these text messages? Do you got another girl pregnant? Yes or no? Chris says no. She's still panicking about it because she says that she cannot fathom the thought of Chris having a baby with somebody else, and she wants her kids to know their siblings. And even though she hates Lauren, she actually said it, even though she hates Lauren, she would work with somebody in Javi's family to make sure that Eli and Lincoln stayed in touch. Like, I just think she's brave for saying how much she hates Lauren on TV, you know. But anyway, so she's going on and being extra dramatic and like panicking, when in reality, when all of this happened, it was a whole bunch of shit coming out about Chris. I don't know who got her number, but I think, I'm not going to put it out there, but you know, me and her have talked to her. I think it's one of her, somebody that was in her inner circle at the time, pranking her on a different phone number, because like I said, there was never a baby on the way. And it's weird watching these episodes back because the fan pages already know all of this shit. Like, all of this shit has already happened. Anyway, so heading back over to trendy Chelsea and always getting yelled at and or looked at weird, baby voice Cole, they are on the way to the police station to see if they can identify any of the items that were stolen from their house. Now, Chelsea's anxiety is probably through the roof in this scene, so she really doesn't want to be, you know, all touched, grabbed, and like, are you okay? Like, what's wrong? And Cole is doing all the wrong things. I can tell that her anxiety is up because I have it too. And she's like, Cole, just leave it alone. Let's just drive in silence. And when we get there, we're going to see what it is. But baby voice is always trying to console, and I understand, but sometimes it just gets annoying. You know what I'm saying? So Leah is still feeling some type of way about the fact that Jeremy put way too much business on Front Street than he was supposed to at the reunion. So after, you know, one of her daughters does a little, you know, dance routine in the living room, she calls Jeremy and she's like, listen, I didn't want you to put that out there. And Jeremy's pleading his case. He's like, listen, Corey has 6 months in advance notice of these doctor's appointments. He can be there. And I said what I said. Basically, Jeremy is saying he said what he said. And Leah's like, well, listen, it works for us, okay? This is my family, and your family is over here. So basically, just stay out of it. So Jeremy's like, all right, whatever. From now on, I'm just going to do me. I'm going to let y'all do y'all. And it seems like he had a lot of animosity in his voice towards Leah, pretty much taking up for the whole situation. But Leah just wants to keep the peace because, like I said, this family ain't been the most peaceful in the past. So then she goes in Allie girl's room and she asks her, like, what do you want? Do you want your dad there? Do you want me there? She's basically like, you know, yeah, I want both of you guys there. And she's just so cute. Like, she's probably my favorite, hands down, Allie girl. She's so strong. I just love her. You know, I love everything about her. So Leah apologizes and says that she didn't know it was that big of a deal, and they have a nice mother-daughter bonding moment. Can't ask for nothing better. So here go Jade and Sean over here damn arguing again. So Jade gets to her grandmother's restaurant and she's like, oh my God, look at my cake and stuff like that. Sean said he wasn't going to come, but he actually did come, and he brought a pretty cool gift, which was a board that measured how tall Chloe gets over the years. I thought it was, you know, it's handmade. Like, I thought it was interesting. So I was like, okay, Sean, cool. So then Sean goes and that he sees that his grandparents are at the party, and his mood turns way left. Now, keep in mind, Jay was giving him the stank eye and like not even acknowledging that he was there before he saw his grandparents. He saw his grandparents. He's like, oh, I didn't know y'all were coming. He then goes on a whole tangent saying they don't deserve to be here to somebody outside while he's smoking a cigarette. So he's clearly mad. And Jay's like, what you mad about? And, you know, Sean's like, fuck you. And she's like, fuck me? So this sparks another argument between these two. They just always mad. You know, I don't know if it ain't enough Newports out here in the world or whatever, but they just always mad. So she's saying that she invited them because she wants them in Chloe's life, and she shouldn't have to deprive her daughter of seeing her grandparents, which is right. But I don't know what happened with the grandparents. We don't know what happened with the grandparents and Sean. Maybe we'll find out later this season. But Sean is pissed off for some reason. So after he says, fuck you to Jay, Jay's just like, he has to leave. He gotta go. He's manic. I'm just like, not really, you know, just run something by him. Tell him. Maybe he wouldn't be so mad, you know, but Jade and Sean don't really communicate that well. we see it. So Chelsea and Cole leave the police department very frustrated because none of the stolen items that the cops presented to them were theirs. So they're just getting in the car. They're like, Chelsea's like, I'm gonna call my dad. She calls her dad and tells him that they cut open brown bags and none of the stuff was theirs. And they thought, hey, maybe something might be ours when they get to the last bag. But they got to the last bag and nothing was theirs. Now, I'm not saying that Chelsea staged all of this for a storyline, but it's just very convenient and dramatic. Like, that none of the things were yours. The deputy called you while you were in the shop looking at your own pieces. They cut open brown bags, which I don't know if that's how they do it or not. Everything just seemed dramatic. I know they do that with drugs. I don't know if they do that with stolen items. I don't know. But nothing was theirs, and they can't put this behind them until they at least know where their merchandise is, I guess. So they're disappointed. So back to Brianna. She's outside of the club now, telling Lewis how much she wants to see him more. Her daughter, that is, but somehow it gears towards her and she's like, do you want to be together? Do you want to be together? Yes or no? Are you mad at me because I didn't want to be together? And he's like, well, you cold turkeyed on me. So they're having this back and forth. Meanwhile, Brianna is extremely drunk. She needs to go sit down somewhere. So eventually she asked him, like, where do you live? Do you live close? Let's get an Uber and get the hell out of here. And he's like, okay, well, I just finished my set because he was DJing that night. So he's like, I just finished my set. Let me get my bag and we can get out of here. And I'm just like, this is why you need to stay with your friends when you're drunk. Maybe she wouldn't have made this mistake. It was a total mistake. I don't think that he's to this day in Stella's life like that. And he didn't even try to sugarcoat it. You know what I'm saying? He was like, look, I ain't got no money. This, that, and the third. I'll come by on Saturday and Sunday. I'll take baby steps. He wasn't even sugarcoating it. So I don't know why Brianna was all giddy to get with him. Like, she's clearly still attracted to him and still has some type of feelings because he didn't sugarcoat shit to get in her panties. She pretty much presented it to him. She's like, all right, let's get in the Uber. Let's get out of here. And that's that. And y'all gonna see what happens for the rest of the season. But everybody who follows me already knew what happened. But anyway, my synopsis of this episode was that it's better than what I thought because the trailer really didn't do it any justice. I feel like Brianna and Jade and maybe even Chelsea are going to carry this season this year. Leah, too many couch segments, too much on the phone. She hasn't really done anything. And Kailyn was literally on the couch the entire episode. Like, there's nothing there. And I feel like she's going to talk about how Chris is trolling all season long. And that's boring because I've already seen it and I know firsthand. But what y'all think of this episode? I know my review was late, but if you want a good laugh and a keeee, I hope I did it for you. What y'all think?